Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to jump into the next phase here. So once your body is modeled out and set up perfectly, this has been sanded and primed. I went to 7,000 grit. Okay, I went 1,500, 3,000, 7,000. And it's hard to tell with this lighting, but it's really glossy. You can just see on the roof there. So everything's smooth. When you're happy with that, you can really never do too much of that. But when you get to where you want, we're going to start thinking about making our mold, okay? And what we have to do is, for us, we're going to make a two-part box mold. Okay, so we're going to have the mold around the top, and then we're going to have a mold around the bottom, and this is going to sit in the middle. You make one piece at a time. You make, for me, I'm going to mount this in the clay in the box, and I'm going to pour the rubber over the top, and then when that cures, I pull it out, and I stick it in there and flip it upside down, and I will pour the rubber into the bottom. So let me talk to you today a little bit about how we're going to set this up. So it's called a box mold. You need a box. A lot of guys use Legos to make a simple box. I had some plastic pieces that I cut, and I just tape them together, and they sit onto a base here, and I'll seal the bottom with some more tape, and this is what will contain the model down in there and then the rubber. Okay, so make sure that you leave enough space for about a ½ inch of at least rubber on the bottom, and then space to fill it up over the top, at least another ½ inch. So I made this bigger than it needs to be, but you're better off safe than sorry. Okay, so you need some kind of box. You can use foam core and hot glue. You don't need it just yet. What we have to start doing is building this up with our clay, so we can use the clay as the parting line between the two halves of the mold. You need to use sulfur-free clay because a lot of the silicones, they will not cure if there's sulfur, so find some sulfur-free. I bought this good stuff, never hardens, Reynolds. This is medium, and it's worked well for me. It's not too soft, not too hard, and it holds its shape pretty well. Okay, so I got some pieces left over here. This works a little easier when it's warm, so as you work it in your hands, it'll warm up. Now let's talk for a sec about how we're going to put the clay in this thing. Okay, so the thing to realize is that wherever the clay meets the metal is going to be a seam or a parting line around your model, around your body, your final piece. So you need to think ahead. Like I said in the last video, it's all about thinking ahead about where you want that parting line to be. Okay, now for a body, for me, I want the parting line to be on the inside. So I'm gonna set the clay in on the inner edge here. Okay, same thing with the windows. We want to put the clay so it's even with the inside of the windows. Along the back, I'm going to set the clay so it's even with this line down here on along the inside. Okay, along the inner edge here. So that way when you have a body and you pop it out, say for example something like this, you can just make out here, maybe I set the parting line to be right in the middle of this wheel well, and that's a great place because you can't see it from the outside. It's easy to go in there and scrape it clean. Same thing with the windows. The parting line was on the inside, so it's easy to scrape away any flashing along the inside without worrying about messing up the outside. Okay, so think ahead where you want that clay body interface to be. Okay, now I'm not going to clay this in front of you because it's going to take a long time, but I'm going to do half of it now, and I'll come back with another video to show you what I did, and I'll do a little bit of detail work on the next video. So essentially I'm going to build this up about this high on a clay lump, about this high, and I'm going to I'm going to taper it this way down. Remember, when you pour the rubber, when you pour the actual plastic to mold your body, you're going to be pouring in from this side. So that's just how it's going to go. Alright guys, I'm going to take a break from the recording, and I will get back to you in a couple minutes or hours or whatever it takes to get this thing done, and halfway done, and then I'll give you a little update. Alright, thanks. Alright, so we got the windows clayed in there. Hard to tell, but I tried to sink it right into the edge of the window frame, I guess you'd call it. It's pretty smooth on the front. Don't have to worry about getting it too perfect on the front, on the surface. I did break my little piece here, so you guys be careful if you're pressing the clay in. Okay, you don't need to fill the whole thing with clay, because you're not putting it under pressure. You're just pouring rubber around it, so don't get too aggressive. I did, and this thin plastic buckled and cracked. So 2 or 3 hours of work for 10 seconds of not thinking. So think ahead once again, and be gentle here. But anyway, the clay is in. The windows are looking pretty good. Of course, I'll go over it a little more as I fine tune this. But the next step is going to be in here. So I'll start by packing some clay in these recesses, and this inner thing here, and the wheel wells, and then I'll do the front wheel wells, and then I will build it up onto the block. Okay, so I'm gonna get going on that. I want to just show you real quick the tools I use. You saw using a little screwdriver, which is handy. It has a nice rounded surface and a straight surface, and you can drag and push and pull the clay. I have this nice little dental tool or clay tool. It has an end that looks like a seed here, and this side looks like a golf putter or a hockey stick, so this is really nice. And then of course, for the finest detail, you can go in with trusty number 11. Alright, so those are some tools. Also, I have my clay down here on a little metal plate sitting on my heater, so it gets softer. Okay, so it's a nice little thing. Alright guys, back to work. I'll see you soon. Alrighty, we got the bed detailed in. Okay, like we said earlier, we're going to create the joint between the two halves of the mold. So where the metal meets the clay is where we're going to have a seam. So I tried to make that right in there with the plastic sunken in a little bit. Alright, remember, don't worry about the surface too much. It's not that important that it's perfect. What you want to get right is the seam between the metal and the clay. Okay, and I know these don't look perfect, but before I go to the rubber, I'm going to go over everything one more time. Alright, so I'm going to start packing in some clay around the front here, and get all the edges around the bumpers and wheel wells, and that'll be the next little stop motion segment. Alright, see you there. Alright guys, so that was adding clay to the bottom here and working my way around the edges. Alright, so, and once again, this is a kind of the first run through here for the windows, the back, and the edges here. Next step will be to build it up onto a main kind of lump, which I will get now off the heater. Any of you guys notice my mess up there? I doubt it came through in the photos actually, but you gotta be careful. Alright, it's probably not going to show up too well, but I ran the tool up against the paintwork here, and there's a scratch, so I'll see what I'm going to do about that. But anyway, we're going to build up a lump base here, so take your pieces and you know, this came off the heater, mold it into a nice profile, and whack it on the bottom of your model. And then you can start to really shape it and get it nice and beveled. Alright, so you can do now is just work this in there. It's nice and warm, the clay moves easy. Work it in, attach it on, and then we'll build up a bevel. And I'll do that in the next little clip. But I'm basically going to be working like this and getting it ready to set inside the mold box. Once the bevel is built, then I'm going to go around and really fine-tune all these details, polish the model with a super soft cloth to buff out that wax that's on there now from all the clay, and basically your super finishing touches before it hits the box. Alright, thanks for watching this far, and I'll see you soon. Alright guys, well that was it. I finished the base for the most part. Got it stacked up there, nice taper on around. Make the body easier to pull out of the mold if you got this taper here. So think about that. Try to build it up a little fatter at the base. I'm going to cut it down to about that line. I don't need all this extra clay. Once again, I will be going in and really fine-tuning around the edges of the wheel wells and the windows and the pickup bed in the back, just to make sure everything's looking good and no stray clay lumps anywhere. I'll buff it out with a really smooth cloth just to polish it up a bit, and then it's ready to go in the box for good. Okay, next video is going to be dealing with the silicone rubber, so I'm going to get on that in a day or two. We'll see. Any comments about the process, guys? I'm no expert. I just wanted to show you guys that might be interested in doing this how I've done it before. So if you got any pro tips for me, please share. I'd love to hear how wrong I'm doing this. I don't need comments about how crappy the videos are. I know that, but I'm trying to not spend too much time to make these videos, just enough to get the idea across. Alright, so that's that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave some comments and tune in for the next one, part 3, on making the first half of the mold. Have a good one.